So up next, I would like to introduce our next speaker. The topic of her talk is Keep Them Safe, Keep You Sane, a Caregiver's Guide to a Safe Home. Our next presenter is Lynda Shrager. Lynda is a registered occupational therapist with a master's degree in social work and has worked for more than 37 years in the field of geriatric rehabilitation, focusing on all aspects of senior health and wellness. She is a certified aging in place specialist and the CEO of At Home for Life, a business that performs residential assessments to help seniors safely and successfully age in place. Her Amazon #1 best-selling book, Age in Place, A Guide to Modifying, Organizing, and Decluttering Mom and Dad's Home, guides families on creating a plan to allow seniors to thrive in their homes for as long as they desire. It offers a step-by-step, room-by-room guide to simple modifications that can make a home accessible to all. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Lynda Shrager.
Thank you so much. I guess that was sort of a shameless promotion of the book. But I do want to thank you and Lifespan for giving this book free to people who signed up for this conference. The goal of it is to get it out there to as many people as possible. So I think that was a really nice thing, and I appreciate that. So the objectives of this workshop, we're going to learn how to create a situation that allows people with dementia especially, but everyone really, to remain in a familiar, comfortable environment where their strengths can be encouraged, learn how to spot trouble areas and gain understanding of modifications that focus on increasing safety and preventing falls, and learn what gadgets and equipment are available and when the correct time is to use it to improve accessibility and increase ease with activities of daily living. So this has been talked about all morning so far, and I'll just reiterate. Studies show that caregivers have a 23% higher level of stress hormones and a 15% lower level of antibody responses than non-caregivers. Over time, elevated stress hormones can lead to high blood pressure and glucose levels, increasing the risk of hypertension and diabetes. Poor immune response can make people more vulnerable to infections such as the flu, even after a flu shot. High stress levels can also lead to heart disease, cancer, arthritis, acid reflux, headaches, and body pain due to lifting and handling loved ones. So those were the physical impacts. Emotionally, long-term chronic stress, as often experienced by caregivers, negatively affects emotional and mental health, leading to higher levels of depression, anxiety, frustration, anger, and guilt. Caregivers report much higher levels of stress than people who are not caregivers, and I think I'm preaching to the choir when I tell you that. Those who care for patients with dementia report higher levels of emotional stress and depression. One way to alleviate stress is to create a safe environment for the care receiver that is easy to navigate, leading to reduced fall potential. And that is what we are going to focus on in this presentation. So, aging in place. AARP states that more than 90% of seniors prefer to age in place, staying in their homes, continuing to make independent choices, and maintaining control over their lives. Their working definition of aging in place means staying in one's home or community. And that goes along with the stats that Greg just mentioned to you a little while ago, that 71% of the people that he surveyed are likely to remain in their communities, and 78% of older adults call their community an excellent or a good place to live. So that was kind of a perfect segue into this, which is then how do we help them to stay at home? So an occupational therapy home safety assessment involves carefully evaluating a person's ability in determining whether the home environment fits the person and supports their independence. Some goals for adapting a house for a person with dementia would be to keep the surroundings familiar, create a home that is calm, reassuring, safe, and supportive, and to declutter, and plan ahead to make changes, but they don't have to happen all at once because we know that too many changes can be upsetting. And as part of what I do, I have a private business where I do home assessments for people, and I do a walkthrough of the whole house from the driveway in and all around and down to the basement and everywhere else that they might be navigating. And then I come up with a plan to help them age in place. And during COVID, I sort of had to punt like most of us did, and I began doing them virtually. And I found that that really worked well. So that opened up that opportunity to a lot more people. And so I've been doing a lot of both lately, although I think I'm happier, I know I'm happier to be in person with people and actually in their home. So, what are the common risk factors for falls? Balance and posture problems, low blood pressure, particularly when rising from or lying, from a lying or sitting position, because that can cause dizziness and or fainting, poor vision, muscle weakness, effects of medication, and the key to today's talk, environmental challenges. So I laugh when I look at this picture because it reminds me of my daughter's apartment in Manhattan. Um, but this is not it, although I could have used hers and it would have been just the same. Environmental press, occupational therapy practitioners are skilled at recognizing how the environment affects the ability to form desired occupations or daily tasks, such as dressing, eating, bathing, toileting, and getting around. Environmental press is a theory suggesting that the more a person's environment presents challenges, the harder it is to function in that environment. So by reducing the challenges, it becomes easier to accomplish activities of daily living. And that is what OTs pretty much base all of their work on, that we look at the environment and we try to make it something that's easier to navigate for people. So what are some of the losses that affect us and impact our ability to live safely in our homes? Changes accelerate in vision loss after the age of 50 and increase in severity after 65. And I am really, really convinced that at age 49, the night before my 50th birthday, I could see everything. I could see all of the labels of my medications without a problem and read every word. And I swear to you, I woke up on my 50th birthday and I couldn't see a thing. Right now, if you saw my desk, you would see that I have like 5 numbers of readers because I've got the readers to look at my notes. I've got a different number to look at the computer. I have a different number to look at the phone. So it's definitely true. Discerning closely related colors, especially in the blue-green spectrum, may be difficult. And it takes longer to focus when moving from dark to light and vice versa. So if you are a caregiver of an older person, think about their environment. Think about the colors and the paint on the walls and that type of thing, because that could be having an impact. So some of the tips for vision loss, we want to clearly mark hazardous changes in floor levels. And as you see right here, this was just a little step up in a hallway. But anything over about 1.25 inches can really be a hazard. So this was a simple fix, but what we did was we just put a red tape right here where the stair was. And so visually, that would give you a prompt to step up. The other thing you might notice in this picture here is that there's a sensor light, and that light goes on when a person gets near this step. So that helps also to put some light on the subject. You want to position furniture away from areas where you walk or move often. And, that's another thing. When I go in to do an assessment, I see things because I have fresh eyes. So this is the first time I'm in their house and I'm looking and I see that, they might have something really near the opening to another room. And I'll say to them, if you just push this piece of furniture back, a foot, it'll give you more of an opening with your walker to walk through the doorway. And there's, oh my gosh, that's such a great idea. But the only reason why they didn't know it is because they've just been living there for so long that they stopped seeing it. So if you go into a home, Act as if you've never been there before. Try to look at it with fresh eyes, and that will really help to show you some things that could be easily fixed. Adjusting illumination throughout the home is very important. Higher wattage bulbs, if possible, should be used at all times. So these are fun. These are called bump dots. And if you can see that right there, so what a bump dot is a little plastic peel and stick clear raised dot. And I carry them everywhere I go to see all of my patients, and they stick on, and then they are giving you a tactile prompt as to where this is. So this is the microwave. And if the person wants to know, I can't find the stop button, I can't find the stop button, um, the start button, I just put one of these on, and then they can feel. Often, if the washer dryer, sometimes a lot of my people, if they're in a smaller home, they have a stackable. So the dryer on top, it's so hard to reach up to even feel the knobs, let alone see which one is which. If we stick a bump dot on, then they can just reach up, and when they feel the dot, they know that's the start button. So that's a nice little thing. And you know what? These are great. You can put them on a remote control. You can put them on the phone. You can put them on anywhere where somebody might need to figure out what's what. The contrasting plate and placemat is, pretty obvious. It's easier to see this white plate on the red placemat than it would be if it were on a white tablecloth. So hearing loss is the most common disability among older persons. My family seems to think that I have a hearing loss. I don't believe it for a second. But maybe between you and I, and since they're not here, I might admit that I might be having a few little issues lately. I might be turning up the TV a little louder, and it could be a problem. But hearing in the higher frequencies declines gradually. Background noises interfere with the ability to hear normal conversations. So some of the things that we can do, an audible warning can be accompanied by visual or vibrating devices. For example, you could set up the doorbell so that if somebody rings the doorbell, lights flash in the house. There's amazing alarm clocks. They vibrate, and the clock itself doesn't go under the pillow, but they have a tube that goes from the clock right under the pillow, and it will cause a vibration to help somebody to wake up. And those clocks also will have alarms on them. They can pick up that if there's a fire or a CO2 issue. There's amazing ones that you can see these days online. You want to position the hearing impaired person in the quietest corner of the room, away from a crowd. Insulated drapes can absorb extra sound. Carpeting is good. Plants actually really work well to absorb extra sound and help. Closed captioning for the TV. Now, I'll tell you my little trick about closed captioning. So I realized that if I put on the closed captioning for some of the shows, especially with the English-speaking actors like Downton Abbey, I have to tell you, I missed the whole first season of Downton Abbey, and then I used this, and then I could finally hear what they were saying. So good tip for everybody, not just necessarily for someone who might be older and hard of hearing. And okay, get screened for a hearing aid. I'm going to do it. So it's not such a terrible idea. Dexterity limiting conditions. So that's for people with arthritis, with Parkinson's, someone who may have had a stroke. And the issues are operating controls and switches, gripping an object such as a doorknob, using tools and utensils. Those are the hardest things, and the people have difficulty with when they have some of these conditions. So what can we do? Well, first of all, there are amazing openers of every kind. There's one-handed jar openers. There's openers that go under a cabinet and that you just pop up the jar and you don't have to hold it at all. There are, all of these bubble packs for food? They're driving me crazy. The lettuce, okay? The if you get something at a to-go in your grocery store, you can't even open it because they're like hermetically sealed in there. So they make openers for those. Another thing is handles. So lever door handles are the easiest thing for anyone to use. Now, the reason why is because when you have an old-fashioned just round handle, it is difficult to grasp it. You have to have the finger mobility to be able to get your fingers on that and grasp it. You have to have the range of motion in your wrist and elbow to turn it. And there's a lot going on there that many of us don't realize. When you have a lever doorknob such as this, all you have to do really, you could have a flat hand. You could even go like this with your elbow and pop that door open. I have a video on my website showing my dog, Bailey, the Golden Doodle, who was able to step up and with her paw, open all the lever doors so that I have not gone to the bathroom by myself in 12 years because she likes to be with me. So lever doors, trust me, if the dog can do it, anybody can do it. This is a D-ring handle. And again, this is just shaped. It's great for cabinets. It's just so that you can get your hand in there flat, bring it down, and you can open your cabinets. And I'm sure you've seen these rocker switches. They're really good. In all the new houses, they have them, but in all the old houses, they do not. They're great because, again, you can see that person's just touching with a finger. You can touch with an elbow, with a closed fist. And you know the old-fashioned lights, the lamps, when you're trying to get in there, first of all, who can see it because it's under the lamp shade? And secondly, you're trying to grab that little knob and turn it, not even possible. Okay, so now, Laura, we have a question about falls. And usually, I'm so sad that we're not all in person because it's so much more fun to be in person. But usually at this time, I ask this question to the audience. Where do most falls occur? And why don't you all take a guess? Wow, you did really well. Let's see, the kitchen. Okay. All right, very nice. Do I hit end poll? So you can see that of everybody guessed a lot of people guessed the bathroom, a few in the kitchen, a few in the stairs, and a few in the living room. You guys are so smart. It's unbelievable how smart you are. Okay. No, we won't go to that one. Now we're going to go and I'm going to move on, right?
Yes.
Okay. That. And you really, guys, you did so good. All right. All right. Now, why can't I move on? There we go. So look how smart you are. Now, 46% of falls happen in the bathroom, 18 in a general living area, which is like the living room. 17% in the bedroom, 9 in the stairs, 6 in the kitchen. And that's really good. And so, first of all, of course, it's a good guess to say that most falls happen in the bathroom. And we all think that's obviously because there's water in there. And so we're getting in the shower, out of the shower, we're wet, we slip, and that's true. But another reason why is because there's so much action going on in the bathroom. You don't go in there and sit down and watch TV for an hour. You're doing things. So you're getting in the tub, you're getting out of the tub, you're getting on the toilet, you're getting off the toilet, you're standing in front of the sink to wash up. You're doing stuff, a lot of transfers, a lot of mobility. It's usually small. It's usually some kind of a tile floor. So there's a lot of room for falling. And it's interesting that most of you it's tricky because a lot of people would think stairs automatically. And you guys did not put that. And you are right. Because you know what? Most of the time when people get to the stairs, they really do think about that. They're at the top, they're at the bottom. They take a second, they take a breath, and they really think before they go up or down the stairs. Usually there's a railing, so there are not a ton of falls in the stairs, on the stairs. You might know this, but I think it's always an interesting statistic to say that actually 81% of falls happen inside the home versus 19% outside of the home. I mean, you'd think people would be falling all over the place outside, but actually they're not. They're falling in their house. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a walkthrough of the house, and I'm just going to point out some things that you as caregivers and you as people who work with caregivers and older adults can think about and use this information going forward. So we're going to talk about all of these things. So let's start with the threshold, the zero threshold entry. What a dream. Not usually the case, okay? This house was designed for somebody who had MS. The whole house was amazing, and the first thing that you notice is why she let me take pictures of this was this straight, flat entryway with no steps at all. A wonderful thing. That's what I find, that a lot of times the big problem, forget being in the house, is people can't even get inside their house. But there's a lot of other things I like to point out in this picture. First of all, these peep windows, these windows on the side, this is architecturally looks nice, but really it's great for security. You can, come to the door and look out and see who's there before you answer the door. This door overhang is lovely when you've got packages and it's snowing, or it's raining and you're fumbling for your keys. It's great to have an overhang. Some kind of chair, bench, shelf, anything next to the door to put your stuff on so you can put it down while you're fumbling for those keys. And one thing that is not on this picture, and that is a clear house number. And that is very important. And so beside my private business, the thing that I do most of the time all day long is I work in home care in the Albany, New York area. And so what I have to go all day long and find people's houses. And I got to tell you, the number, the 9 is old and rusted and flipped over and now is a 6. And something's sitting on the mailbox and it's rusty and you can't see it. Or some big bush grew up right here in front of the number. So think, everybody, all of you, no matter who you are in this webinar today, think about your house number when you go home, look for it, make sure it's clear, it's big, it's easily seen, because God forbid the EMTs have to get to your house. The GPS works, but not really, because it gets you just so close, but not necessarily right there. So it's really important that you have a good house number. So before we were talking about, the zero threshold, which of course, is a dream, but not always. If you have some stairs though, these stairs are great. They're lovely stairs. They're safe and they're not too high. And there's actually only 2. But what I love is the extended rail. So the railing goes to the ground here and up here to the top. And what sometimes you'll see, oftentimes, is there's a little rail here, but it stops like at the last step, but not onto the ground. So the person's walking down. I don't know if you can see my arms, but he's walking down and then he gets to the last one. He's holding on. So now his arm is back here because he's still holding on to that railing for dear life when he has to step off the staircase. That's the same in the house and outside of the house. And I'll show you a picture later of one inside the house. But it's really great if the railings can be extended all the way to the top, past the top, and past the bottom. So the general living areas, we're going to see pictures of this. You want uncluttered pathways. You want your windows and doors to open easily. Your light switches to be accessible, the cords secured under the carpet if need be, or taped down if need be. Outlets, it's great if they can be up from the floor. I have a good picture of that, and I'll show you some furniture. And oh wait, sorry about that. And the furniture. So I will look at someone's furniture and test them to watch how they get on and off the couch, the favorite chair, etc. The firmer the piece, of course, the easier it is. And many of us have that couch that we've had for 100 years that we love, actually, because it's very soft and mushy. But guess what? It's not easy to get up off of it if you have some arthritis, or you've had hip surgery, or you have any kind of weakness. So the higher and firmer, the better. And the ideal height is around 20 to 22 inches from the floor to the top of the seat. So you can sort of get a feel for that. Furniture risers can help immensely. You want to have clear pathways between the furniture. Look at the coffee table. Be careful of throw rugs. So this is a captain's chair. I don't know if they even still call them that, but I still do. But the idea is just a chair with a nice hard surface, a firm seat, and arms. It's all about the arms. When you have arms, it is much easier for you to push up from the chair, okay? We don't want our people who have walkers and the walkers here and they're pulling for dear life. No, we want you to take your hands, put them on the arms, and push up. And that's really easier. So if there are arms, that's great. Here is a couch, and if you can see down here, these are furniture risers that, you know, Bed Bath & Beyond, I used to tell everybody to go to, but there is no more Bed Bath & Beyond. And I think it's still online, but you can go to a home goods store and get these furniture risers. 3 to 4 inches is all you want on a couch in a living room. You don't want to be any higher than that, but it makes the biggest difference and helps somebody to get on and off. Someone who's had heart surgery, open heart surgery, we didn't talk about that before, but where they have chest precautions, anyone with chest precautions. So you're not allowed to push yourself up at all and bear your weight. So, you know, it's very hard getting off of furniture. I had one patient who they just could not get off of anything, and they felt like really stuck and claustrophobic because any seat that they were put in, they were stuck. But when we raised it, they could use their core muscle, their leg muscles especially, and get up. So furniture risers are really helpful. So this is a classic setup. You've got the couch, you've got the chairs, and here's the coffee table. And this was an example of what I was talking about before. You know, you walk in, and so the person has a walker, and they stick the walker over here because there's no room for them to bring the walker with them in front of the couch. And I'll just say, gee, maybe if you take this coffee table and push it out about 6 inches, then there'll be room. And it's like, whoa, wow, you know, I never really thought of that. So you just have to look at it with fresh eyes. And people might look at this Oriental rug and say, oh my God, the rug. And, you know, somebody falls and all the adult children go into the house and take out every rug the poor person has. And you know what? You don't have to do that. This rug isn't going anywhere. It's a big, very heavy Oriental rug. It's held down by furniture. It's fine. So we have to use our judgment on the rug. And we'll talk about the Shrager twist test in a couple of minutes. Here's an example of raised outlets. So you can see, instead of them being on the floor or very close to the floor, which is very hard to reach, this is newer, over 55 housing, and they did a good job. So here's the outlet, and you can just plug in your thing. I like this picture because you can see where they've plugged in the lamp and the computer and all that right up here versus having to bend down on the floor to do that. Furniture protectors. You know, if someone who does have any kind of incontinence problem, these are nice. I like these because they don't look like, you know, they're not like that ugly blue pad that we tend to put on things. This looks nice. I mean, it blends into, it comes in every color. This was on Amazon, and you can just look up furniture protector for elderly, and there it is. And they, you know, they have a non-slip bottom, so they sit nicely, and they can just sort of blend in with the furniture and not be embarrassing for anybody. Threshold. So this is a big tripping hazard for people. And what happens is, you know, they put in the new hardwood floor, and then they have the tile bathroom, and the 2 different floors were of a different height. So then you've got that little step right there. It's high, and it could be like 1.5 to 2 inches, and that's enough to trip, especially if somebody's walking in with a device, a walker or a cane, or even without. So these thresholds, you know, you can get them Home Depot, Lowe's, and it just makes that a smooth transition from one room to the other. And you'll often see this from a hallway to a bathroom, or even from a room into the kitchen. if the kitchen is a tile or wood and let's say there's carpet around the rest. I love these. These are great for orientation if you're working with someone who does have cognitive challenges. Again, these are on Amazon, and it just tells you everything that you need to know right then and there. There are some that actually also tell you, which I really like, a little bit of the temperature outside. They give you a little forecast, but those are nice. But this is really nice because somebody can just know exactly where they're at and what's going on. So these are some things that you can do, especially working with people who do have dementia. You want to leave the interior doors open between rooms to make it easier to navigate. So if I'm sitting here in the den and I look through the doorway, I can see that that next room is the kitchen, versus if the door was closed, I would have no idea. That said, if there are off-limit rooms or doors that you shouldn't go through, then I'll show you this later. There's great camouflages for the doors or even stop signs that you could put up. You want to have photos and keepsakes around that evoke positive memories and encourage reminiscing. Remove unnecessary furniture in all rooms. So decluttering is really the way to go. It just makes your pathways clear. And I will always look at that when I'm doing an assessment in someone's home. And at least, look, we all have our stuff, okay? And stuff is good. I love stuff. But certainly the pathway, especially leading to the bathroom, from the bedroom to the bathroom, the den to the bathroom, you want to make sure those are clear if people are using them all the time. So you don't want the plants and the magazines and all the furniture, laying around in those places. Reflective surfaces, you want to avoid them. You want to keep the lighting as strong as you can and even, because the reflections can make someone confused. And automatic night lights, the sensor lights, they are the best invention, because now none of us have to remember to put the thing on or to turn it off in the morning. It just comes on when it's dark, and they're great. And they are great to put all over the place. Okay, so the kitchen, again, back to the single lever faucets. A refrigerator and freezer doors, you want to be sure they're easily accessed. And so, there was sort of a movement there for a while where everybody wanted the refrigerator, the French door refrigerator, because that looked very cool. And somebody out there decided that's the stylish thing. Now, the reason why, though, was because actually most of the things that we use every day, all day long, are in the refrigerator or in the top. So the idea was the freezer's on the bottom, and that's okay because we don't really need the freezer all day long. So we'll have that lower. But if you're a wheelchair user or a walker user, really the side-by-side is better because you can open the door and you can get right up there with the wheelchair, sort of inside the refrigerator, as I try to say to my patients, or with the walker to hold it open, and you can access everything. If you have the French door one with the bottom that pulls out, now when it pulls out, you're way out here in the kitchen and you're nowhere near the stuff that you need to reach. So that is a problem. So you have to really think about your person, and all of us are unique and everyone has unique needs. So there's no rules for any of this stuff. There's some theories and there are some things that are evidence-based, of course, but in the end, each person is different. So you have to take that into consideration. The heights of the cabinets, there's pull-down cabinets. We'll show some pictures of those. And the oven door and that too needs to be easily reached. So here's a pretty good kitchen. And I like this because it's pretty accessible. So first of all, if you can notice, right here under the sink and under the stove, there's an area there for a wheelchair to pull up right under. So that's nice. It's subtle, but nice. The microwave is down here. The stove is up here. They're both at a good level, waist height, not too high. I hate when the microwaves are way, way up, like they're over the stove. And you find that a lot in a lot of these new houses, like again, the over 55 communities, but the kitchens are kind of all alike. They stuck those microwaves way up there. And the problem is it's hard to reach up there and pull down a really hot thing. And that's kind of dangerous. So I love it when there's sort of a landing station, either right under the microwave is a shelf, or even you can see right here is a counter. So you take the thing, whatever it is, either out of the oven or the microwave, and place it right on the counter for a minute, just to place it there to get your balance before you then pick up the item and go walk somewhere with it. So that's nice to keep in mind. This stove, the knobs are hard to see, but they're in the front, so they are easily accessed. Now, that said, if you have someone who you are worried that they might be turning on the stove and perhaps forgetting to turn it off, then it might be better to have those knobs in the back where they're not easily seen and reached, or they have covers for those knobs to make them safe, the same as the child-proof ones, so that somebody's not going to turn on the stove by mistake. Good lighting here, natural lighting out here, plus good task lighting. The single lever handle over the sink is also good. I love these. So what happens is you have this cabinet and it's this big, deep cavern, and everybody's reaching in. First of all, they're bending over, then they're reaching in and they're falling because they're losing their balance, trying to find the one pot, which of course is, the one way back here. So retrofitting someone's cabinets by building these pull-out shelves is great. It's a great suggestion that I make often to people, because that way you can just pull it out and you can access everything and grab it easily. So if you have a lot of cabinets, and if you have a person who may be becoming a little bit forgetful, label the cabinets, pots and pans. But I love this because, and this was a person, he did such a great job. This was the most gorgeous kitchen, huge, 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 millions of cabinets, and every single one, this husband labeled for his wife who had dementia. It was amazing. But let alone did he say pots and pans, he put the picture of the pot. So in case someone doesn't have that ability to read and understand what those words mean, the picture can also help a lot. So that was great. So some of the hacks for the kitchen, again, keep surfaces as free of clutter as possible. Label the cabinets with pictures of what's inside. Consider taking off the cabinet doors if needed, or switch to glass. Now, the caveat there is you got to have your cabinet look neat all the time. So who does that? But anyway, hide or lock away items that may be unsafe, like cleaners, sharp objects. And when serving food, again, a plain white plate, put it on a darker placemat. And that's such an easy fix, because just go, you can get the silicone ones, paper ones even, or 8 million different kinds of placemats these days. So you don't have to go buy a whole tablecloth or anything, but you can get colored placemats very easily. The bedroom. Okay, so the bedroom again, and the problem with a lot of the rooms is the doorways. So again, I told you I live near Albany, New York, and I'm in a section that's older houses, and the old houses, the doorways are really skinny. So just getting in, if you have a walker or a wheelchair, is a challenge. And then we look at the bed. So can you get on and off the bed easily? And that's another thing. Somebody's husband made the frame of the bed. It's very meaningful. It's up here in heaven. By the time you get to the mattress, you need like a running start to get there, but they love their bed. So we're not going to change that, but we have to do something about it. The way you can tell if a bed is a good height for someone is you want to sit on the bed, and then you want to see that your hips are at 90 degrees, bent at 90, your knees at 90, your ankles at 90, and your feet flat on the floor. If that's the case for someone sitting on the bed, it's a pretty good height. And if not, then there are things that you can do. There are many, well, I think I'll show you a bed rail and then I'll talk about the steps and stuff. want to see the lights and the phone and the clear path. So here's the bed. Again, 22 inches high is good. And you can measure that easily. A phone, a lamp, emergency numbers near the bed. Everyone should have emergency numbers somewhere. And I'm very old school in that I suggest to my clients and patients that they take like an index card or just even paper and they write out on paper, not on the phone, the number of the kids' cell phones, the emergency medical people, the doctors, something that you can grab easily. Because you know what? And this is true for everybody. If there's a crisis, you're going to start fooling around with your phone, trying to remember your contacts and all that stuff. And it's really easier to just have it written out. And either next to the bed or on the refrigerator. And everyone, especially our older clients who live alone, they need to have that sheet, because if I'm going to walk in to help them, I have no idea who anybody is. I'll know to look at the refrigerator. I think we all sort of know that, and the EMTs know to do that. Usually the vial of life is there and the most is there. And so refrigerator, think refrigerator, but next to the bed also is good. This commode, everybody kind of rolls their eyes. Oh my God, I don't want a commode next to the bed. Well, no, we don't. However, if you have somebody, or if you are somebody who's running to the bathroom every 5 minutes in the middle of the night, it is not so terrible, especially if the bathroom's way down the hall. It's not so terrible to have the commode next to the bed. The person sits up, they do a quick stand pivot transfer right onto the toilet. They pee, they get back into bed, and you worry about emptying it in the morning, and you just saved 5 trips up and down the hall. So it's not so terrible to have a commode at night next to the bed. Again, these sensor lights, love them. This is nice because it's sort of subtle. That looks like the whole room is lit up, but really it's not. But it's enough to give you a little night light. When the feet hit the floor, the thing lights up. So it just gives you a pathway, enough to see walking to the next place that the person is going to. And a bed rail. Bed rails are great. There's so many different kinds of bed rails now. They're all different sizes, and most of them, really most of them, just slide between the box spring and the mattress. Some go to the floor, some don't even. They just have a panel here that go under the bed, and they just give you that sturdy handle. We have to make sure they're up by the pillow. I hope that it looks like that in this picture. They do not go in the middle of the bed, like, halfway down the middle. They are not there to keep somebody in the bed at all. They are there as a handle just to grab when you're stepping up, when you're sitting on the edge of the bed and now you're going to stand up, or vice versa, you're going to get into the bed. So they need to be near the pillow. That's the key. Because if they're near the pillow and then when the person sits down, they put their tush right here by the pillow, when they flip their legs up, they're in position. Versus if it's in the middle, that definitely has them end up way down at the end of the bed. So this needs to be near the pillow or near the nightstand, where the nightstand is positioned. And it makes a big difference. They're really, really helpful. This guy we had, so it's hard to see, but right there is the dresser. It just was a small room, and here's the bed. So he could not bring his walker with him to the bed. He had to park it out here. So we put a railing all along this wall, and he sat up, he just grabbed, stood up, and off he went. He could walk with that rail right down here, grab the walker, and off he would go. Also, there's sensor lighting here. And so what I started to say is, stools and things like that are tricky. You have to know your client and know what they can do. But I have used a step. There's something called an outdoor step. Again, that's on Amazon. It's just a rubber block, very low to the ground, like 3 to 4 inches. That's it. Or something like, if you picture the step that you would use in step aerobics, that low to the ground, heavy rubber step, that can be placed next to the bed for one step up. So again, I would have a therapist work with the person to practice that, but there is something that you can do if they've got this mattress that's way up there in heaven. So the hacks for the bedroom: have a night light in the bedroom and the bathroom. Use automatic lights for memory impaired patient in all rooms and hallways. Contrast the bedding color with the floor cover. So what that means is, I often find that people who have a comforter, a big old comforter, it gets bundled up at the corner. When you undo it for the night, it's sort of all just sort of gets in the corner by the bed, and it kind of creates a big tripping hazard. So you want to be able to see where that is and actually try to tuck it in. Flannel PJs on flannel sheets is hell. You get stuck, it's like Velcro. Okay, so be cognizant of what people are sleeping in. Cotton PJs, or at least cotton sheets. In the winter, everybody gets out the flannels, and that's trouble. Relaxing colors and soft surfaces promote relaxation. Promote sleeping in bed. I have so many people who are in the recliner, the COPDers, the people who really have anxiety, who are worried about breathing, some people with various orthopedic issues, they end up sleeping in the recliner. It's the new norm for a lot of people, and it is what it is. But I at least try to get them to go into their bed to stretch out for a nap every day for a couple hours, just to get off their butt and to move their position. So, and music, white noise can promote sleep. So the bathroom. So Laura, I think we have some bathroom poll questions.
Yes, we do.
Should we ask those? I'm gonna go back one. Okay, what is the Shrager twist test? Okay, so we will go through this in a few minutes and I will tell you, but let me just say that the person who answered slicing a lemon for a cocktail is now my favorite person in the room. Okay, go to the next one. I
Hang
think
on,
there
it's
was,
not launching.
oh, it's not launching. I
Hang on,
can't.
I'll launch it again. I just
It
closed
was.
it. I'll reopen it.
Okay. Well, it's okay because I think everybody did so well on the other two that I'm going to give them credit.
Okay, yeah, it won't launch, and I'm not sure why. I'm sorry.
All right, that's okay. All right, so let's. We do that, then it gets funny. Okay, so the bathroom. And these are all the things we're going to talk about, but let's talk about the Shrager twist test because that actually works for all the rugs in the house. But we think about it in the bathroom because again, everybody gets rid of all the rugs, and they freak out. But what I do when I go into a home is I do the Shrager twist test. And this is very evidence-based, just my evidence. But what it is I stand on a rug with my feet about 12 inches apart, and I actually do the dance, the twist, okay? I do the moves. And if that rug under my feet is moving, out goes the rug. But if that rug stays and doesn't move, then it's okay. So there are safe bath mats, okay? And I actually like a bath mat, and I think I read somewhere or somebody sent us something of who's on this call, and I think there are some OTs out there, and you know, we can talk about that. But you know what? If it has a good rubber back, I love it because when you come out of the shower and you step on to something, I want you to be able to dry your feet on something, and I want you to have a good, safe bath mat. The same in the kitchen, the same anywhere. It's when they're little throw rugs that the rubber is long gone. And you know what? Most of us probably can go home while we're looking at our house number, look at your bath mats because probably they're 100 years old. The rubber is gone and they'll go flying out from under you. So be a sport and go get a new one. the label actually says slip resistant or slip proof, and just feel it. Put it on the floor in Walmart and do the dance, and you'll know. So this is a nice, this is a great bathroom, and just has some nice features to it. It's not zero threshold though, so a motorized wheelchair could not come in here, but somebody who could step over one step, a great vertical grab bar here. I love the grab bars to be at the entrance because I tell people to hold on with both hands and step in and then reach for the one across. So I will have a horizontal long one across the back. Handheld shower head on a pole so that it moves up and down so that it can be reached versus, I don't like the ones that are stuck up there because nobody can ever reach it. So it's got to be, it's a great thing, but it has to be on a sliding pole. The benches, to be honest with you, I don't love the built-in benches. I really don't. I prefer a shower chair that you can put down where you need it because you know what? A, these are always too low. And B, they are often way back far from the water. So if there's no handheld wand, you can't reach the water anyway. So the shower chairs, these are great for people who have any type of problem, balance and coordination, and they may just need to sit for a little part of the shower or bath or the whole thing. Obviously, the shower chair has 4 legs inside the tub, whereas the bench has 2 legs out. The difference is if you can step over this wall of the tub, then get a shower chair and you can sit when you need it. If the person can't get over the wall, they sit on the edge out here and then they slide their tush in and then lift each leg over, but they never had to step over the high wall. And that's when it becomes difficult. I'm going to go back. So if any of you say, well, but wait a minute, how do we deal with the water that's now going to come out because 2 of our legs are out? And I have the shower curtain, but then I tell people to get an inexpensive, one at the dollar store and put that inside. And then that one will, it's hard to see, but there's a slit here. And we tuck the inner one inside and then leave the pretty one on the outside. And it really does work. It keeps the water in. Raised toilet seats. These are great, 4 inches, which is a lot. And by the way, sometimes that's too high. So you don't want to be dangling in the breeze when you're on the toilet. You want your feet on the ground. So some of these risers actually got really high. So you have to pay attention to what the person's needs are, but there are lower ones. I love, as I said before, handles. So if you can fit one that has a handle, that's even better. And these just screw on right in front. So they're easily put on. But sometimes they're not as tight as they could be because the toilet bowls are all different sizes and shapes. So you have to take that into account. They might not, as I said a minute ago, they might not need the height, but they still need the rails. So here's our 2 different types that have the rail, but you're sitting on the actual original toilet seat. Someone with dementia may have problems finding the bowl. Again, the contrast problem, white on white. Every color of the rainbow you can get. It's very fun, actually. I think it's fun to have different colors. So you can get red, blue, brown, whatever. Here's a comfort height. So you hear comfort height, ADA height, 17 to 19 inches. The old houses, it is a long journey down, okay? We're talking long. It's like they're only 15 inches high. So it's very hard and it makes it difficult. And doing modifications like this can make it so that now somebody's totally independent with their toileting. I love to have grab bars all over the place. If it's a man and he's standing, you wonder why these bars are behind. That's why. So, there's a lot of things that you can do. And this is great because there's a big space here for a wheelchair access. Combination bars. You hear, I don't want it to look medical. I don't want it to look institutional. Okay, then look for combination or hidden grab bars. There is a whole line of them. Some of them are beautiful. There's a company called Grab Accessories and a company called Great Grabs and Invisia. Those are the 3. And they're really nice. As a matter of fact, I think it was Great Grabs. They sent me their catalog because they know I do this. And the cover is these gorgeous grab bars, and it says jewelry for the bathroom. Now, only I could love this, okay? But I'm telling you, there are some really pretty ones. So, but the idea is this is a combination. So this is a towel holder, but a grab bar, a real grab bar that has been put into the studs and will hold somebody up. And you see that a lot, I'm sure, where the person goes into the bathroom and they grab onto that towel holder and like the whole thing comes out of the wall. So they make this for shelves in the bathroom. They make it with a toilet paper holder dash grab bar. So there's lots of things that can be done. So again, this is just a review of what we talked about. But for people with dementia, removing the trash can if it's confusing, being confused for the toilet or contrasting the toilet seat, non-slip adhesives on the floor. Again, Amazon, they're peel and stick. I love them. They come in all different shapes. I like the fish personally, but you just peel them, stick them on the floor, and the person, you have a tread now, so it's not slippery. The old shower floors have become worn away and they can be slippery. In temperature controlled water, all the faucets should be 150 degrees. They don't have to, 120. They don't have to be more than that. Now, here is my favorite hack. And for those of you who were lucky enough to get my book, it's in there. But for those of you who weren't, it doesn't matter because I am now telling you the best hack in the whole book. And that is this: soap on a rope. So if you have ever gotten into the tub or anybody else has, you know that the minute you hold on to that soap, the minute you pick it up, off it goes flying away, and it's now on the floor and you can't reach it. You take an old stocking, okay, and you cut off at the leg, so you have the leg part. Drop a bar of soap in, tie the top of it to the grab bar, which hopefully you have had installed, but if not, you can tie it on the faucet. And now you've got the soap hanging in there, and you can take it, rub it on your body, wet it, rub it on your body. The soap comes through the nylon, and guess what? You can just let it go, and it will be still tied onto the rail, and you have soap on a rope automatically. Grab bars everywhere. We did this. This is a sunken bedroom, and we put a grab handle here, and then just rails along the wall. Rails don't have to be grab bars in a bathroom. That's not the rule. They can be anywhere around the house. Stairs, okay, so you want them to have good risers. 6 to 7 inches, shouldn't be more than that in a house, 4 outside. Here's a picture of, again, we extended the rails here, and you can see it's a little hard with the angle, but they just added a longer railing so that when the person got to the top of the stairs, they had that last thing to hold on to. Okay, so stair lifts. Oh, here's that step I was talking about. I forgot that was it. So this is the rubber step, which it works everywhere. Anywhere that there's a step, if there's one outside, like a high step that's too high, you get one of these and it cuts it in half. It cuts the rise in half. These are great when you have an SUV, those crazy high ones, and the person can't get in. These are light. So you stick it in the garage floor, they get in the car, and then off you go. So that was what we did this here because this was a high step. But you know what? These stair lifts, it is not a calamity if somebody lives in a house that has stairs. First of all, stairs are a good exercise. So it's fine to walk up and down the stairs every day. That's not a terrible thing. But if we get to the point where you can't, but the person wants to stay in their home and loves their home, a stair lift is the answer, and they're great. And they can be anywhere. I mean, you can, for money, you can do anything. Although there are grants and there are some coverage for them, but they even, if you have a round staircase, a spiral staircase, a sort of a split level where there's 4 steps here and then a landing and then 5 more or whatever, they can do almost anything. But this can make the difference between staying home and not. So it's something to think about. Sensor lights. So sensor lights are great again, and these are nice. So these are stick-on, and these are really great for a staircase because you can just put them on, and then that way when the person is going up and down the stairs, they appear and, you know, they will light up enough so that, so that the person can see where they're going. So some of the hacks for the stairs, yes, keep objects off of the stairs. We do tend to do that. You know, there's a really cute little basket that they make that is made specifically for a staircase. And so you put the stuff that's going up in that basket, but it keeps it together. You know, it declutters it. It's out of the way, but it's there at the bottom of the stairs. Check out the staircase. You want to fix loose or uneven steps. Make sure that they're, you know, that it's all in good shape. A railing on both sides is really helpful. That's the thing, that often that there's a staircase and there's just one rail. But you know what? If somebody has a weak side and a strong side, they've had a stroke, they have a bad shoulder, they have arthritis, then they're only going to be good going up one of the directions, depending on which side of that rail is on. So if you can put a railing on the other side, that's really helpful. You know, and then fix the loose railings. That's one thing I do immediately is I grab everybody's railing and just make sure that it's tight, you know, that it's on there well. A light switch at the bottom of the top of the stairs is great. So you can light up the staircase when you're going up and down. And then painting or somehow contrasting the top edge of the step, like that bottom step and the top step, so that you know that you've gotten to the top or the bottom. People fall down at the end because they didn't realize they're at that last step. So if there's a way to mark that, that's great. So doorways. Well, doorways, again, that's a problem because if they're really skinny and you do have to get a device through them. But they should be 32 inches wide, which is still tight for a wheelchair. The ideal is 36. And so it can be difficult, and that's often a problem, again, with old construction, that people will have problems getting their walker or wheelchair in through the bathroom. And there are ways to expand the doorway. You can use offset hinges. I'll show you that. So these are offset hinges. You can buy them at Lowe's, Home Depot. Here's a close-up of it. And what it does is, so you take off your old hinge and you put this on, and it will give you about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. The door will open against the back, the wall in the room further because of this different hinge. So they really do well, and they can really be a game changer. The other thing is, you know, that boingy thing that's in the back. I don't know what that's called though. The boingy thing that's in the bottom so that you don't hit the door with the wall. Now, of course, it's there so you don't hit the door with the wall. So if you take that boingy thing off, you are going to hit the wall. You're going to open the door wider. So it's a give and take kind of a thing. And you know what? This is a house, so she couldn't get in. And we took the door off and we put up a rod and a curtain. And she just closes the curtain when she gets in there and has her privacy. But it was a quick fix, and it was a way to get the person into the bathroom. The garage. So I find that I personally don't, but I bring in contractors a lot to do garage door renovations because this is hard. And some of these houses, you know, all might be well, but then you open the door to go out to the garage, and it's these terrible steps. They're not to code. They're all like crumbly and falling apart. And many times, this is the main entry and exit into the home, especially if obviously if it's an attached garage and it's covered, and it's so much better because then they're not walking up the sidewalk to the front door. So to make a modification here really goes a long way. So these are steps that we have here, and they're wide, so they're easily accessed. And I have something that I call walker steps, which These are not, but they look just like this, but actually the width of them, the depth of them is about 22 to 30 inches, so that you could actually put a walker on them, so that you could put the walker and then step up, walker up, or the same going down. So that's a great thing too. We put bars here again, because here, this actually was a person who, the driver, it was the wife who was not the driver, but she was the patient, if you will, and she would get out over here, so she could get out her side of the passenger door and just grab a handle and go right up and in. So, you know, look at the garage and see how that is, if that's something that people can easily get in and out of. So to prevent wandering, if we have a wandering problem, you want to place a large black doormat in front of the door. I'll show you what this looks like. Take a picture every morning of your care recipients, so if they do wander, you'll have a picture of exactly what they were wearing that day. These are the little things in life that we wonder, well, wait, why don't we remember what they were wearing, you know, when we saw them an hour ago? Because these are the things we forget. So alerting neighbors to the potential for wandering. So you want to have your neighbors' contact information, and you want to be sure they have your contact information, so that if someone is in the neighborhood, the neighbors can help. And of course, enrolling somebody in the Alzheimer's Association's Medical Alert and Safe Return program is very important. These are cool. So if you have a lock if you have a sliding glass door, that used to be a difficult situation because it was hard to lock that. These are locks that are way up out of the line of sight. And here it's locked, here it's open, but it's something that can actually put a lock on the sliding glass door. If it's just a regular door, again, any kind of a bolt, if you want to put it up high, so that's just not in the normal line of vision, and that usually works pretty well. So this is what I was talking about a minute ago. So a dark tile or a carpet, and actually, this isn't as dark as it should be, but picture this being really black, okay? It's kind of on the gray side. But if this were really black, this appears as a whole. It can appear to someone who does have dementia as a whole, and they're not going to want to step over it. So this will stop them from going in or out. I love this. This is a camouflage peel and stick, hide the door. And it looks like books on a bookshelf. And in fact, it's just a flat door. And this can be found at the Alzheimer's store. This can be just Google camouflage door sticker. These are cool because it just doesn't, you know, it looks like there's a whole bunch of different ones that you can get also, but I just like this. I think it's kind of neat. Okay. Well, I left some time for questions also. If you want to get in touch with me, otherwise, that's my website. And please follow me on my Facebook or Instagram page, because I really do put a lot of tips up. And when I'm with a patient and I do a modification and they allow me to, I'll take a picture, and you can really see some inside real people's houses. So it's good to check that out. Okay, so I'll stop sharing.
Hi, Linda.
Hi.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure if you can see the chat, but there
Well,
are.
Yes, well, I hadn't looked at it before because I was so busy talking.
Yes. A lot of people
Um,
saying how super helpful it was. Really great information. They love your book. Love your book. Wonderful. And all kinds of thumbs up and claps and hearts for you following that amazing presentation. Thank you. I do see that someone has raised their hand. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to answer a raised hand in this format, but I would encourage you to put your question in using the Q&A feature. If you can't do that, we will check the chat, so you can pop a question into the chat as well. Let's see, how are we doing for time? We have more than enough time, Lynda. I'm assuming you would be okay with taking a few questions
Oh,
from the
please, yes,
audience?
that's why I left some time. Yep.
Thank you. So up first, we have a question about vehicles. It says SUVs seem to be the future vehicles of choice. What are your recommendations for safer transfers in and out, especially since they are often much higher?
Yeah, it's a problem. I do a lot of car transfers with people. The basic concept is to have somebody back up to the open door and back up to the seat. So a lot of us tend to take that first leg and step in, but we don't want to do that. We want to sit on the back of the seat, and then sort of squish back and then lift the legs in. Now, that being said, you're right, they've gotten higher. And so that step that I showed before, again, it's called an outdoor step, but any kind of a rubber, really safe stool that can work to help get that person up higher so that they can sit on the seat is great. Then there are the issues of just getting in, especially if someone is just really not mobile anymore. So there is a device that it looks like a lazy Susan, and it sits on the seat of the car. And when you sit on it, it flips around. So that way they're sitting, and then you can just go boom, and get their legs right in. And it's really great. The other thing is a device called, I wish I had these things with me. They're all in my garage, but I won't take the time. It's called a handy bar, and you can Google handy bar for a car, and it's a grab bar, and so whenever you open your car door, there's a little notch there. Everybody has it. It has a name. God knows what it is, but it's a notch in the open car door, and you put this this bar in it, and it sticks out, and then it's giving you a little bar. It acts as a grab bar to sort of hike yourself up, so you can push up on it and give yourself that little lift to get onto the seat. And so they're great. So that's called a handy bar. There's the Lazy Susan transfer, which also has a name, which is not coming to me, but you can look that up. And then there's another type of strap that goes over the window. So it hangs down, and you put it in the window, and then you close the window so that the closed window is holding it. And that's a strap so that you can pull up on it in this way. So again, it depends on your person. Another easy trick is a bag, like a grocery store plastic bag, which of course they don't have anymore. But if you were smart and saved some, like me, you can just put something like that, or just a garbage bag on the seat. If you have cloth seats, it's often hard to pivot the person in. So something like a plastic bag makes all the difference, because it'll make it slippery, and it'll make it easier for them for you to get their legs in once they're up on the seat.
Wonderful. Such great suggestions. You never know when those grocery bags are
I'm
gonna
telling you, I saved mine. I'm so lucky.
come in handy. It's really that part about the swing around, isn't it? Getting the feet in and that
Yes.
touch on the feet that really comes into play. So amazing tips. Thank you. Let's see what we have up next for you. Someone is asking if it's okay to share your information in a caregiver workshop and give you attributions. That might be a question you want to answer offline, but I'll pose it to you, and you can do with it what you wish.
No, that's fine. I mean, sure.
Okay.
Or let me just come to your workshop and speak. That would be fine too.
Yeah, I just invite the wonderful Lynda to come, and she's done a number of presentations for us. Are all of the car suggestions in your book?
I don't know if there are some, yes, there are, but you can always just go to my website, which is otherwisehealthy.com, and ask me a question through there, and I'm happy. Oh, you're putting the handy bar. Great. Thank you, Laura. and get in touch with me and I'll send you the links. Happy to.
Awesome. Yes, and thank you, Laura, for putting the links for the handy bar and the strap for the window in the chat. The next question is, informal caregiver for a 96-year-old man who occasionally gets up at night. The concern is a full flight of stairs is very close to the bathroom entry door. So that's probably not all that unusual. So she's wondering about any tips when the flight of stairs is close to the bathroom entry door.
I would put a baby gate up, the same as if you had a toddler or anyone else who you were worried. Just have it, I don't know what your staircase looks like. Some work better than others. If it's not one that you could go buy it at, Walmart or something, and because the squeezy ones, you might have to have it installed, depending on what you've got. If sometimes the wooden, like the little pillars you might need, then you need somebody to install it, but it's worth it. And again, there's all sorts of openings for those. Some are harder than others. But it's really hard when the staircase is right up there, and any of us could do it. You don't have to have dementia. I mean, it's in the middle of the night, you're half asleep and you're walking across that little area and somehow a little loss of balance or something, and boom, God forbid. So it's worth it to put some kind of a gate up there.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We had a question come into the chat, so I'm going to read that one off to you next. When caregivers want to obtain modifications or devices to assist their person, where should they begin to ensure that all covered items can be obtained at either no cost or lower cost? Any suggestions?
Well, back to your area office on aging. And I think they were saying that there are a lot of resources these days to get some of these things. There's different grants, there's different coverage. So, what I do is private, and it's hard because people often cannot afford it. But there are ways, there are different insurances will cover certain medical equipment. Having someone come in and do an assessment, sometimes that can be covered depending on an insurance, or again, I think the best way to start is to go to your area office on aging and find out from them who they would suggest and what resources for coverage.
Tara, you're muted.
Aha, I knew I was going to do that eventually. Thank you. Looks like someone asked an additional question about a gate. Is an extra tall gate ever more practical and or safer?
I'm not sure. An extra tall gate, you mean like at the top of the stairs?
Right, would there be any benefit to using a taller gate?
Well, I mean, I guess it can't hurt, because if the gate is too short, a person of height could perhaps go over the top. So certainly if that's a thing, I don't know that they make them really that tall, but if that is an option, and of course somebody could have something built, a contractor could come in and build a little something, a little gate for the top of the stairs. And, it doesn't have to be, I mean, if it goes to chest height, that's enough. It doesn't have to be 6 foot tall or anything. But the idea really is to stop someone, to jar them awake and to make sure to sort of stop them. It's not going to totally do the trick. I have a slide that, of course, I didn't have in this, but it's somebody created this bar for their attic stairs. Same idea. You would come in, I'm sorry, the basement stairs. You come in the door of the kitchen, and right there is the basement stairs. So they were worried. So they created this, and it's a bar, and you fold it down like that, and it's just one bar across, and then you can bring it up to get it out of the way. And so that bar, it's not going to stop somebody if they go full force down, but it's enough to kind of jar them back and to keep them from falling. So, it depends on who your loved one is and how big of a person they are and what your needs are. But something like that would work. And if you can get a taller door, why not?
Great. Let's see. Is a home safety assessment a common practice following a release from hospital or rehab? Or is it something that we necessarily need to request?
Okay, so I work for Trinity Health, St. Peter's Health Partners, the Eddy Visiting Nurses in Albany. And so when someone goes into the hospital, if it was some kind of a problem where they need some type of rehab, we are often called in there. And the doctors and the discharge planners really kind of make that, um, it happens a lot. That said, if your person goes into the hospital and for any reason you're worried that they're going to go home, and now, especially if they're going to be alone, that there's going to be a problem, you ask for it. Most people, it's not often that a doctor will not write an order for home care. It's home care. So it's OT, PT, it could be nursing, it could be speech, respiratory, whatever that person needs. That's a good discharge for someone. Sometimes if they're in acute care, they might go to inpatient rehab for a week or two, especially if it's, a big orthopedic thing, or they had a big, huge medical thing, or they had a big stroke or something like that. They'll go inpatient for a while. And then usually the inpatient will automatically write for a home care eval. And that's when somebody like me comes in. So that's the beauty of getting it that way, because then you don't have to pay me privately to do it, because I'm coming in as the OT with the Eddy and I'm doing the exact same thing, and as would any OT. So it's really great to get a home care team into the house if possible. And whenever I get calls from families and they don't know what to do, and mom is falling and mom is this, and they're just so overwhelmed. And by the way, you don't have to have a hospitalization. It used to be that you needed 3-day hospitalization, but now you can ask your primary doctor to write a order for home care. It has to be a reason. Mom has been falling. There's a bad, there's gait instability. She can't toilet herself. She can't do her activities of daily living anymore. I would really appreciate a home care eval to go in there, assessment, and see what's going on. So I feel like, I've been working for this one agency for 20 years. And back in the day, it was only after a hospitalization. And now I would say maybe 50% of my referrals are from a referring primary in the community. The person was not in the hospital. So everybody, I always suggest doing that, because then we're in the house. We're feet on the ground, if you will. We can see what's going on and see the person navigating in the home, which is the key.
Thank you, Linda. Again, such great information. Any other questions for Lynda Shrager while we have her here with us? I see lots of hand claps and hearts and many comments in the chat about what a fantastic presentation this is. And I know, Linda, I've had the pleasure of listening to you talk a few times, and I feel like I always learn so much from you, and your tips are so useful and practical. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today and share your knowledge with us. And we wish you a really happy rest of your Friday and a nice weekend.
Well, thank you. You too. I'm going to play with my new 5-day-old grandson.
Congratulations.
Thank you.